today's webinar, How to Stay on Top of Your Product Assets and Data. My name is Isabel and I will be your moderator today. Before we start, let me just mention a couple of technical things. For example, that our session will be recorded and that we will be sending over the session recording in a couple of days. Of course, we have also planned a Q&A session. So if you have any questions for your experts, please write them into the GoToWebinar question box on the right side of our screen. We will answer them at the end of the presentation, and of course, as many as possible. Now it's my time to welcome today's speakers that are first Alessando Kurzidim, CELUM's Chief Product Officer, and he's joined by Bojan Bozic, CELUM's new Head of Client Services. Great to have you both here today. I will just hand over to Alessandro to introduce himself and Bojan, and then to start off with the actual insights session.
Hi, thanks for the warm welcome. As Isabel already mentioned, my name is Alessandro. With me is Bojan, and we two will guide you today through product content management made easy. What is it about?
Right. Welcome from my side as well. I would say we just get right into it. So first of all, a quick fact about myself. I've only been with CELUM for around 6 weeks now, which gives me a huge advantage in terms of not being too technical, not looking at it from our own perspective, but really from a customer's perspective. So I'd like to keep this a little bit high level. All of the presentation will be like that, but I think we have a great example at the end of the slides prepared for you. So stick around and see a real life example of how our clients are using CELUM. Speaking of high level, let's talk about expectations. Let's talk about food and not, as I said, get too technical. So what do we expect when we think about pasta, for example? When I think about it, I have a picture in my head, and this picture will maybe look something like this. And I think that this is something that I would be willing to pay for. This is something that I would like to see when ordering pasta. On the other hand, what do I get more often than not? And I think that all of us can relate to that. The picture here shows what we get sometimes, and I think that most of us would not be willing to pay as much for that. And this really simple example should illustrate what the reality looks like. And I think this reality applies to the digital shelf as well.
Perfect. So how does it look like on the digital shelf? So we are not going to talk about pasta all the time today. So there will be more accurate examples. And one of those is what you see right now on the screen. This is a cap from one of our customers, Mammut, and it shows pretty well what I'm expecting when I'm buying or when I'm looking to buy a new cap. I have several images, I have videos, I see the cap from different angles, I get all of the needed information about the cap, I also see some reviews, the price, the different colors, the sizes, some description, and it happens also quite often that when we do the reality check, you've seen Mammut is really eager on how they present their brand and also their product. And what can happen at the same time, and don't get me wrong, this is a really working online shop. I don't want to say it's bad, but it has a different purpose. This is an online shop. I would challenge if Mammut is really pleased in the representation of their cap. I get the needed information. It's a black cap, and I know it's available in a specific size, but mainly 2/3 of the screen focuses on the price, but it's not the product experience that many of the brands itself want to deliver. Because when you look at the mannequin, you can ask, is this really the right way how Mammut really want to present their cap? I would say it's an open question.
Now, the question for me is, what is PCM actually in a nutshell. So basically what it's all about. And I think we can describe it very simply in just one sentence. So PCM is all about the creation, the approval and management of product content and the distribution again into any digital front end.
Exactly. Good. And right now the question is so that we go a little bit deeper and we really try to have here a journey so that everyone who has not heard about PCM gets somehow a manual, and especially that is possible or is able to ask the right questions inside the company. So Bojan, my question to you would be, what are the typical business objectives any company wants to achieve by having a PCM system?
Right. I think it's rather simple. So the first step I would say, or the first thing I would say I would address is accuracy and consistency. So how can I as a company maintain consistency in high volumes of product data and content throughout my company? The second thing is efficiency. How can I streamline all of that data and product content strategy through several systems that I have in place? We'll talk about system landscapes in a minute. Throughout several business units that I have, locations, languages. You can imagine the larger an enterprise gets, the more complicated these things get. But do not underestimate the complexity for small businesses as well. And third, I would say manageability. How can we, as we said before, create, store, manage, and distribute all of that content? And I believe that one thing that appears all the time for us in the reality is the aspect of single source of truth. Alessandro, I think you mentioned it a couple of times to me. Is that an important factor for our clients?
Yes, definitely. This is one of the main reasons what many of our customers told us why they have bought back in the days at DAM, and it was always because of, hey, it's not just product content management what we are talking about, but it's really this bigger picture. I want to store all of my content, and that's why it's so important that my content is in one system and it's not split into different systems or internal drivers or what we have seen in the past. Good. The first steps before introducing a PCM system, we tried to put some questions together, what you should usually ask upfront. So it sounds pretty simple, but believe me, there are still so many companies, from small companies over mid-sized companies to really large enterprises, and they struggle sometimes with that. So the first thing, what do you really want to achieve by using a product content management system? What is the goal? Which problems do you want to solve? I hear quite often, hey, I've seen somewhere this and that, and there's a feature, and then we always go in the requirements engineering. I want to click there and having this. That's not the right approach. That's wrong. You really should address your problems. What do you really want to solve? It is important to think about the jobs to be done. There's a pretty nice and nifty framework on the market thinking about this. What something wants to be achieved? And also think about, what does your ecosystem look like right now? Do you have an ERP system? Do you have a PIM system? Do you have a CMS, an e-commerce, social, whatever? There are so many systems already on the market, and you need to find the sweet spot, how this whole journey looks like. Next thing is, are you looking for something best of breed or best of suite? There are also different vendors who are offering this. Super important, we had so many discussions in the previous months, is who is using the system? Is it designed for them? Because you always need to distinguish between the power users. They have a different expectation than the occasional users. They want to have a system, don't make me think. What does the market offer? As already mentioned, there's a bright landscape of vendors, and all of them have specific requirements, and they serve a different purpose. Especially for the PCM market, the field is quite small. There are really just few of them. And super important because it gets so often ignored or forgotten. I don't know, but what's your budget? It doesn't make sense starting your investigation looking for the, let's call it Ferrari, for the unicorn, or as we say in German, the eierlegende Wollmilchsau, when your budget is just a Fiat. So don't want to make the Fiat bad, but if you're really looking for a high complex PCM tool, then it also comes with a bigger budget. And yeah, there are many more questions. Bojan was so kind. In our consulting team, we also have a quick start, a checklist that can be provided to you. If you're interested, then please reach out to us. Then we can help you finding the right tool. Good. The challenges. So Bojan, tell me, what are the challenges you're facing day by day?
Well, as a company, I would say, again, let's keep it simple. Let's have a bird's eye view on things. So first of all, I would say one challenge is the sheer quantity of things. How can I create and manage high volumes of various multimedia content? How can I integrate more automation in that? So basically, how can I not be overwhelmed with all the quantity of data that I have to manage day by day? And the second thing I would say is really quality, and more than quality, even efficiency. So the data needs to be of high quality, obviously, but it needs to be distributed to digital front ends in a very economic and efficient way. So how can I achieve that? And I think there's several typical pain points related to those. And I think Alessando can tell me from his experience what those are.
Exactly. So we put some things together, and I mean, this meme is quite common on the internet, and I thought, okay, let's put it there, because those are exactly all of the headaches our people, the occasional users and the power users, have day by day. So the first one is the product content data needs to be synchronized with the PIM data and managed, and this quite often as a bulk operation. So we are not talking about a single image, we're talking of thousands of images. The second one is that product content is manually uploaded to different systems. So imagine you have an online shop, you have, I don't know, 50,000 SKUs or 100,000 or 1 million SKUs. You don't want to do the job of uploading them separately to the CMS, to the shop or whatever. So this fully needs to be synchronized. Then the next one is the product assets are shared via email for feedback and approval. Believe me, I was in talks with so many prospects and sometimes also customers and asking them, hey, how do you get the approval? Because especially the big corporates, everything needs to be documented. They need to have history. Who has approved which binary in which step? What is being delivered? And quite often is, yeah, we know our process is a little bit shady because we do a WebEx, or I'm sending this to my supervisor via Teams or via email. Wow, okay, that's definitely not the way we want to go there. And the last one is, and Bojan already mentioned it, it's this high rotation, and especially everyone who is a designer or in marketing feels this pain is, hey, it is already approved. We need to go live in a few minutes or maybe tomorrow. Can we please change it? Because I got feedback from my supervisor, he's still not happy with it. And if you do this on really a mass production, this will not fly. Good. Bojan, back to you. What does the PCM landscape consist of? With which tools are you familiar?
Yeah, thanks. So I guess that most of our clients and companies in general will definitely have to deal with some sort of picture that resembles the one that we are showing right now, which should indicate how complex the system landscape has gotten over the years. So to keep it really simple, I would say that most companies have at least an ERP system to manage all their data. If they sell any sort of product, they will probably have a shop attached to it as well, and definitely a CRM. But it gets more complex than that, even with smaller companies. As you can see, if you include something like a PIM and a DAM system, it gets broader, the picture, and some also need to include publishing and social media integrations and so on and so forth, not really talking about the technology that they need for internal purposes only. So as you can see, the whole system landscape is really vast. And I think that this is also a huge challenge to most of our clients. This is also something that we can consult with. But this is really more on the theoretical side of things. How about getting more practical, Alessandro? What can we say about user flows, for example? What do they look like?
Perfect. Thanks. So from user flow perspective, we tried to put there two examples together that we have a better journey that you all can follow. It is independent or it's unrelated of how much you know already about PCM or DAM or PIM. We really tried a step-by-step guidance going high level through the whole PCM flow. And what is it for us? So we are categorizing it into 4 areas. We have create and approve. This is the starting point. We have the find and managing of assets and content. We have the routing and sharing. And in the end, it's about excitement and gaining the right insights for improving it. And how does this look like? On the digital shelf, our first use case. Guess that's a quite familiar view for all of us. It's a web shop. In our case, it's a B2B web shop. And what do I want to do? I want to buy a range. And this whole journey today is about the range. How does it start, or what are the steps that are needed that I can buy the range there? The first thing is I need to create the product. So this is far before anything starts in a PIM, in a DAM, in a shop system or wherever. Here, the engineering team creates a new product, and it can be a prototype. And in this example, it would be a new range. And right now, I need to add this range to my ERP system. So I have a product name, I have an SKU, I have a description, I have a category and a group, a subcategory or a subgroup. There might be other things. This really varies from company to company, how much data they are adding to the ERP system. With one of the last customers I was talking, this was what they have, and their product name and the description was more or less the same. So there was really little information about the product in their ERP system. The next step number 2, is extending it with product information. Now it gets interesting because now I'm focusing on selling the product. And what do I need there? I need further description. I need description maybe per channel, and it also needs to be localized because I'm operating in 10 different countries with, I don't know, 15 different languages. I need it in Italian, in Greek, in Spanish, in German, whatever. The next one is the type or the price, the weight, the size, the color, the style, the width. There are so many different attributes that I can add to this product. It's also, again, like for the ERP system, it really depends on the customer how much they want to control it. And this is mainly a thing what the marketing department decides, because they are introducing in many companies the PIM. Next thing is the product content creation. So right now we are going further down this road of the product content management, because as we have seen in the first example with Mammut and the cap, just having the product information will not help. If you're going to Ideal or to Geizers or to other places where I can compare prices, that might be enough. This was also the example with the cap and the mannequin. Because I wanted to know, I knew what I wanted to buy, and therefore for me I was just looking for the price. But Mammut, and in our example the tool company with the range, wants to do something better. So first thing in our creation and approving story looks like that. I see here all of my content that I need for my range. we see here right now in with the red border that we have a so-called compound object. This is equal to what we have in, for instance, the PIM. When there is a PIM in place, it is not mandatory. The PIM is really optional. And then I can say, hey, I have my shovel, I have my hammer, I have the screwdriver, and I have the wrench. And in this wrench, I want to collect all of the different variants I want, or yeah, the variants that I want to show for this wrench. It's not just a single image. There are different images. So it might be the shot from in front, from top, from behind. Imagine it can be also different products, not just the range. I want to have some mood shots, whatever. So in this collection of the range can be 10, 15 different binaries. And what I can do there is I see on the top left corner that there is a so-called placeholder. I already know that I need 15 shots. And when I'm creating, or when it's being triggered via the API, this new product of the range, I would create 15 placeholders. And this placeholder triggers all of my colleagues in marketing, in the design team, the photographers. Hey, there is a new product. I need photos. I need images. They need to be adapted to the different channels and so on. But they have already their job. Next thing is the content creation, and there will be a lot of feedback, trust me. So what happens there? Right now I'm working with my placeholder, and as I said, I don't need just this single image. I need 15, and we can make it even bigger. It's not one product, it's 1,000 products. And right now the team is really busy with creating all of this content. And they're taking this placeholder. This placeholder can be added to a task. There can be also different other images or placeholder added to the task, and I'm associating this task to the right people, that they can do their job. And long story short, what will happen? They are creating and iterating all of the different versions, and in the end, they are coming pretty close to what they want to achieve, and they always have the chance of giving some visual feedback. So it's not making an image somewhere, sending it via email, writing a comment on it, or doing it via Teams or Slack or any other collaboration tool. No, it is within the PCM system. And really important there is, I, as a manager, as a supervisor, the marketer, whoever is responsible finally for this, they always see, hey, I left a comment. I wanted to see the logo on the top left corner. And right now I can also compare it. Is the job done? And only once it is done, I can approve it. And I see all of the different versions. And yes, quite often we are being asked, hey, how many versions are there in between? There can be 500, thousands. We have seen already so many, I don't want to call it weird things, but there are many iterations that something really gets done. And imagine you're sending just 10 different versions via email or at the in the kitchen at the coffee machine to someone else. This will not fly. You really need to have a tool for that. And last but not least, it is so important that content is being approved. And as I already said, this should not be at the coffee kitchen or in Teams or somewhere else. This should be somewhere with a record in a tool. And this is exactly what the PCM is offering. So you can define some robots, and those robots are executing the jobs. If something is done, then please do this job. That's pretty nifty. The typically, if this, then that. And what happens then in our PCM is once it is done, we see it here right now on the right image. On the top left, there is right now the approved image from a supervisor. And right now I can take this for the example we had in the beginning for the web shop. And right now we were talking just about creating and approving. There's also the thing of managing and finding the assets again. So we still have here our screwdriver and the wrench and many others. And it is really important in the PCM that you can work with tags so that you have all of the meta information. not just the technical meta information, that you have the status, is it approved or is it not approved, and that you have from the beginning so-called asset types. They are grouping all of those products together. And usually customers from us, they have between 4 to 8 different of those asset types. An asset type can be simply just images or videos or marketing collateral, different things. It really depends. That's something where my colleague is then reaching out, finding the best solution for you and your purpose. And this is just an example how it can look like, that everyone who might have not seen the PCM live, this is how it looks like. So the detail view, I have all of the general information. I see here already the meta information, like the name, the asset type, the asset availability, the status, the content language, what I was talking. Also the tagging, there's also the support of AI. Super important is the copyright information. This gets so often ignored or forgotten, which is super important for big corporates. It's everything about GDPR and copyright information. And yeah, in the end, what happens? Right now, my range ran through this whole process, and in the end, I find it here on my shop. And all of my prospects, all of my customers can buy it. And to give you another use case, because it might not be just the CMS or the web shop, it can be also, and this is where we see there is so much more demand right now, are branded retailer portals. And what is meant by this? This will be right now short. I can define how my brand is being experienced. This is so important. Thinking again of this example of Mammut, they want to say, hey, I have a new product launch, or I have a specific campaign, and I want to share all of the product content with my retailers. And this can be retailers around the world. And they want to take care how their product and also how their whole brand is being experienced. Therefore, they are defining this. In our example, we are sticking with the range and the tools. So I'm defining the name for my theme, so for my brand. I can define a color scheme, I can define the font family, the style. And the really nifty thing is that I see immediately when I style something, how it looks like in real world. So this is what I see to the right. And exactly this example shows then, when I have a lot of product content, I'm creating my own branded retailer portal, which has exactly the design I want that is being used, and I can define how my product content is being experienced by all of my retailers. And just an example also there, how it works for our customers. They have systems where they say, hey, I have 50 or 100 power users in the system. They are responsible for managing this vast of content, but I have 50,000 users, retailers, externals who are viewing this content, and therefore they need something like this. And the last step in our journey is that I also want to gain the insights. So especially with this last example, imagine there's a new campaign and you forcing all of this content out of your system, and you want that all of your retailers are taking care. Then it is super important to also have the insights, who is seeing it, who has logged in, who has downloaded and is using it, because there might be also print material and so on and so on. And you have everything in one place. You see how your content works.
Thanks, Alessandro. So these are really cool examples for real life use cases, two different, in fact. I would have two questions for you. So first of all of these things that you showed us now readily available with the CELUM system? And the second is obviously what we see on the slide already. What does the future look like for PCM?
Yes, thanks for asking. Especially the things we were right now demonstrating, yes, all of them are on the system. If you're interested, please reach out to us. We're here to help you and to also show you what is possible. And that you can also ask the right question. We would be also really happy to support you there. And about the future, yes, I put 3 things together how I see will the future look like when it comes to product content management. The first thing is template-based content creation. In a nutshell, what is meant by this, there will be designers or a specific person in the marketing team who is creating templates and is offering those templates to each and every person who needs to adapt this for later purpose. Concrete example, think about social media. All of those quotes that I'm always seeing on the pages I'm following. Right now, it happens quite often that the designer is sitting there and is creating all of those posts. This does not make sense. There should be a template where the marketer, the social media manager or whoever is responsible for it is simply just changing the background out of the possible options the designer has approved, plus adapting the title and push it out. And this can be quite easy. And this is something that we see also from our customers that is really needed. That's why we are currently working on that. So it boosts and scales up their business. The second thing, yeah, it's a no-brainer. I mean, everyone is talking about, every company is right now influenced by AI. And it goes more in the Gen AI. So for us, it will be the asset briefing, the asset creation, the tagging, something we have already seen with the more descriptive AI, and especially the search. So the context search, those things will be more important. Also, that is something that will be there pretty soon, and it will change all of our business. And the last thing, pretty interesting term, so I need to give you more context on that, is the composable connected experience with embeddable widgets. Sounds weird, but what we mean is there is so much complex product information and product content, and it is important that you are mapping this without even knowing what is the exact information. You're defining just some queries. I want this and that meta information from the PIM and from the DAM or any other system. I want to map this in a template, and I can take this template, which is then a widget, embed it into any frontend. It can be a CMS, it can be a shop, whatever. And by just adding this automatically, all of the content and the information gets ingested. And that is pretty nifty and something where we see that will change the business of product content management a lot. So Bojan, I was talking quite a lot. We are coming to the end. What are your takeaways from today?
Yes, first of all, thanks a lot for all of these insights. I think that if you should take away something from today, and I myself am doing this as well, is first of all, do your homework. So basically think about your business, think about your business goals, the problems that you need to be solved, and define your jobs to be done, quote unquote. So basically know what you want and then reach out to the market. Second, think big. Product content is something that is transcending and integral to your daily business. So it's basically everywhere. So think of it as being everywhere and understand that and act accordingly. And third of this list is embrace the process or processes in general. So basically create more transparency and manageability through workflows and the support of processes, basically by extension through systems. I think these are 3 vitally important aspects. And moving on from there, as you can see here, this is really just a high level visualization of what Alessando was talking about. Basically the life cycle creation and the transportation, the managing and the distribution of the wrench example. So as you can see here on the left hand side, it's being created, it's being enhanced with more information. And then it becomes an asset with several attributes, asset types, as you can see, more and more information around this product content, this wrench. And in the end, what we really want to achieve is basically to share this with the world through our website, social media, e-commerce platforms, so on and so forth. So I think this is really a high-level visualization of what it's all about. As I mentioned in the beginning, there are obviously many real-life examples that we can share with you. I would love to share this one with you. Alessando, can you tell us a little bit more about our client Danfoss?
Yes, that's one of the really most interesting customers and use cases we have right now with CELUM. They are customer for several years, and they have a pretty interesting setup. So everyone who is interested into going deeper into what is product content management and how does it really look like in real life, feel free to watch this video. Just go on YouTube, enter Danfoss and CELUM, those two keywords. You will see exactly this screen, and you will see how Danfoss is using their product content management on a daily basis. And just to spoil there a little bit, we're talking here about 800,000 SKUs they have in the system, more than 315,000 assets and growing, and much more. So that's really a super cool and interesting use case. Good. There's nothing else we two can add here anymore. Really, thanks a lot for joining. If you have any questions, then please let us know.
Thank you very much, Alessandro and Bojan, for the highly interesting session. I learned a lot. And yes, we do have a couple of questions. I will just start with the first one. Can insights into the assets themselves also be, hang on a second, it's cut off here a little bit, also be played out in the PCM of CELUM, e.g. The blue cap was clicked more often by consumers than the red cap, or just our user insights?
Yes, I mean, we see all of the statistics. So if there would be, let's say, 100 products on this portal, staying with this branded retailer portal, I see exactly which content performs better than the other. What we are working on is that it gets also automatically approved, that it gets more highlighted to the curator, or the person who is responsible, that they can make the right decision, or also, and that's the link there with AI, that it optimizes it based on really the hard facts. Which content is longer viewed, more often viewed, what has a better conversion.
Okay, thank you. Then you were talking a lot about high volumes of product content. How many assets are we really talking about here?
I mean, in our example was pretty basic, but we're talking here about product content. An average of our customers, and there are really many, it's between, a small one has 50,000. As I mentioned, Danfoss has around 315,000. And we have customers with 1 million. We even have customers with, I've seen it today in the morning, 3.5 million, and there are also bigger ones. But it really depends then on the complexity. So it's always take care of the amount, the volume, and the complexity. And this is then where somebody really thinks about a product content management tool.
Okay, that really are high volumes then. And we've got the last question. Would it be possible to handle the product content and all other types of content just with my web shop or PIM? Do I really need anything else?
So not an easy question. It really depends. So what we were showing today, no, this will not really fly with the PIM, because the PIM has some basic capabilities when it comes to managing the content, but it's really limited. Everything is built on catalogs. And if you also want to add some other assets and you want to say, hey, that's my single point of truth, and you will see this perfectly in the example of Danfoss, this will not fly, because you don't have the chance of this whole taxonomy, this high volume that is not flying right now. And also the example what I had with Danfoss, and this is not unique, this is for most of our customers. They really just have a small amount of power users in the system. So it can be 25, 50, or maybe 100, but they have 20, 30, 40, 50,000 read-only users. So they are really consumers and they just want to get the content. And that's one of the things that is in this stage not really possible with the PIM because it has a different focus.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Thank you. So that was the questions. Then if there is no further question from our audience, then I would just like, before saying thank you to all of you, to mention our next events. The next webinar is due next week. We are doing it together with Henry Stewart and with our customer Sitcom. So just go onto our website in the event section. There you can register for free. And of course, I would very much like to invite you to our CELUM Summit on June the 4th, taking place in Linz, where we combine our masterclasses for mentioned power users. We have a high-class conference with a lot of customer cases, and we are also celebrating 25 years of CELUM. And all the details can also be found in the resource area of our website. So thank you very much, Alessando and Bojan, for your time and all the valuable information you provided today. Thank you very much, dear guests, for your time, for your interest. If you have any other questions, please just contact us on office@celum.com, hello@celum.com. Give us a call. We're looking forward to hearing from you. And that leaves me to say thank you and have a lovely day. Thank you and goodbye.